So let's proceed. Last day we talked up to the reproduction. Am I right? We talked about the asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So here we stop here probably. The sexual modes of reproduction means fungi. They produces different kind of spores. The 4 different spores, it appears by means of sexual reproduction, and it is named like that: oospore, zygospores, ascospores, basidiospores. Now, a little bit about the classification of the pathogenic fungi. So here for all the fungi, they come in the under division Eumycota. Then there are 4 major subdivisions, and one is that is the form subdivision that I'm just going to describe you. 4 subdivisions. This is the Zygomycotina, Ascomycotina, Mastigomycotina, Basidiomycotina. Look at that in the blue color. We have mentioned the spores for that each of the subdivision. Means when you read about the name of the sexual spores, means the fungi under these subdivisions, they form the sexual spores. Their name is related to their name of the subdivision. Zygomycotina, they produce zygospores. Ascomycotina, they produce ascospores. Exception is here. Mastigomycotina, it is named as the oospores. Then Basidiomycotina means basidiospores. Now, few examples also I have placed here. Suppose the subdivision Zygomycotina, one example might be Apsidia species. Ascomycotina, Saccharomyces, probably you heard about the name Saccharomyces. Saccharomyces is an yeast. Mostly it is used for the fermentation work, like our bakery, bread preparation, cake preparation. You know that some yeast should be added in the dough, that is the wheat flour, rice flour, the yeast should be added. This is a Saccharomyces. Then Mastigomycotina, one example I have placed, the Rhinosporidium. This is one fungi, it causes the disease in human and animal. Basidiomycotina, all the mushrooms, it comes under this subdivision, Basidiomycotina. But interestingly, one more subdivision, that is the Deuteromycotina or fungi imperfecti. Means most of the medically important fungi, they classified under this subdivision. Now, why this type of typical name, fungi imperfecti? Now, fungus, so far, they are divided into 2 groups. One is the perfect form, another is the imperfect form. Perfect form means what? Perfect form means all the fungi under these 4 subdivisions. Why it is perfect? Because this group of fungi, their sexual reproduction is well defined. Means we understood their sexual method of reproduction. But under this subgroup or the subdivision Deuteromycotina, here the sexual reproduction method is not yet clearly defined. We do not have the great idea about their sexual reproduction or their spores. That's why they are known as fungi imperfecti or Deuteromycotina. So this imperfect or perfect, perfect means it is not like that the fungi looks very perfect. That is not correct. Perfect means for those fungi for whom we understand their sexual method of reproduction, including asexual. But for the fungi imperfecti or Deuteromycotina means all the fungi under this group, we understand the asexual reproduction, but the sexual method of reproduction is not yet clear. But interestingly, majority of the fungi which causes the disease in human and animals, they are here under the Deuteromycotina. All right. Now, if we look back the subdivision Deuteromycotina, there are 2 important classes. One is class Blastomycetes and there is class Hyphomycetes. Under Blastomycetes, 3 genera are there. Those 3 genera we need to read. Means certain pathogenic fungi are under this Blastomycetes, like genus Candida, genus Cryptococcus, genus Rhodotorula. There are many more genera, but we have mentioned these 3 because These three are generally associated with certain diseases of human and animals. Under hypomycetes, this is the largest class under which most of the pathogenic fungi are placed. We have given certain example of the genera like Trichophyton, Microsporum, Epidermophyton, Penicillium, Aspergillus, Histoplasma, Blastomyces, Coccidioides, Paracoccidioides, Sporothrix. Once again, let me say there are many more genera definitely available, but only few important genera I have mentioned for your information. Under these genera, the species under these, there are few of them which causes the disease of the human and animals. Okay, so this is a brief about the classification of the fungi. Because classification is not very big topic under this, but you should understand that most of the pathogenic fungi, they are classified under subdivision Deuteromycotina and class Hyphomycetes. Most of the pathogenic fungi, means those are causing disease, majority of them are under subdivision Deuteromycotina and class Hyphomycetes. Okay, and to just try to remember few names. So with that, I think we can stop the general mycology part. Now we want to start the systemic mycology, means the disease. What are the different kind of diseases they do cause, and the different kind of picture. So let me try to find out some of the diseases and the systemic mycology. We'll start first one, that is the superficial mycosis. Mycosis means the study of fungi. Is it visible, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. Now, mycosis. Mycosis means diseases caused by fungi. Mycosis will study in two different components. One is the superficial mycosis, another is the systemic mycosis. Superficial, what does it mean? Superficial means when the fungal infection appears on the body surface. Means our skin, hair and nails, they get infected. Skin, hair and nails, they got the infection. So such kind of infection, it is known as superficial mycosis. But when it invades inside the system, then all the diseases will be systemic mycosis. So first one, the superficial mycosis, the most important one, these are the dermatophytosis. Dermatophytes means the fungi which causes the dermal infection, means skin infection. So let's see what is there. So dermatophytes, they are basically zoonotic organisms. I believe all of us are having, or sometime we had some of the skin infection caused by fungi. It may be short term, it may be long term. So these are the short term, maybe few of them might have having the infection for a quite long time, because fungal infection is very, very difficult to treat and very difficult to eradicate from the body. Once it gets in, it is very hard to remove. Anyway, let's come to the topic. So what are the dermatophytes? They are a group of closely related filamentous fungi, means they are mold in nature, all filamentous fungi. They have the capacity to invade the keratinized tissue. So mind it here, because skin infection, why they love skin, why they love hair, why they love the hoof or nails, because these are the part of our body where keratin is available. So the keratin lovers, those who love keratin, they infect the superficial part. So they are the keratinolytic fungi. So dermatophytes, they have the capacity to invade the keratinized tissue. Frequently encountered in human animals, and they produce infection which is called as dermatophytosis or ringworm or tinea. Okay, so the scientifically we say it is dermatophytosis because it associated with the dermis and epidermis layer of the skin. Sometimes it is also known as ringworm because of their appearance, circular appearance, or sometimes it is also known as tinea. In case of human infection, it is known as tinea. But probably when you will read that name tinea solium in parasitology, that is different. Here the tinea is not the pathogen. Tinea is the name of the disease. Okay. What type of disease? Fungal skin infection in case of the human being. Many of the species can infect the keratinized tissue like skin, hair, nail, feathers, horn, and hooves, because these are the part or these are the organs of the body which carries the keratin. So what are the fungi comes under this group dermatophytes? All the dermatophytes, they are classified under family Arthrodermataceae. Arthrodermataceae, you can find the name, and there are 3 genera: Trichophyton, Microsporum, and Epidermophyton. And under each genera, there are multiple species. Altogether, they can cause the skin infection. That is a dermis. They infect the dermis layer. And now, when you'll find the dermatophytes, that was the scientific classification, but based upon their natural habitat, means where you will get them. Based upon their natural habitat, dermatophytes classified into 3 different groups: anthrophilic type, geophilic type, and zoophilic type. Anthro, you understand, anthro means associated with the human being. Means these are the certain fungi which causes keratin utilizing on host humans. They are basically the pathogen of the human being, all right? But sometimes it can cross from human to animal, possible. But basically they are pathogen of the human being. Geophilic means it is the geo indicates geography, geology means earth. Means these are the normal environmental pathogen. So they are the soil saprophytes, generally available in the soil. From soil, it can go either to human, it can go either to animals. The zoophilic means basically they are the pathogen of the animals, but it can also affect the human being. So at the very beginning, we told that dermatophytes are basically zoonotic agent, means they can cross over the host range, human to animal, animal to human. So few examples also placed. Here M for Microsporum, T for Trichophyton, E for Epidermophyton. Okay, in the previous slide we have given the name T Trichophyton, Microsporum, Epidermophyton. Under these 3 genera, Epidermophyton is exclusively pathogen of human. Epidermophyton is exclusively pathogen of human. It does not cause disease in animals. But Trichophyton, Microsporum, it can cause diseases in animals, including human. Next, what are the zoophilic dermatophytes? Zoophilic, what is that? That is the pathogen of the animals. Mostly Microsporum canis, Microsporum gallini, Microsporum gypsum, Microsporum equinum, Microsporum parsicolor. Then Trichophyton equinum, Trichophyton mentagrophytes, Trichophyton simii, Trichophyton verrucosum. These are the important dermatophytes which generally cause disease in animals. Gradually, definitely, when you will read it repeatedly, you will be well accustomed with the terminology. Epidemiology of the disease means how they do spread, how they do sustain in the environment. So dermatophytes, my dear, it is very easy to say that it is a worldwide in distribution. Every part of the world, there is the history or presence of the dermatophytes. Trichophyton, the genus Trichophyton is the most predominant genus. About 20% of the world population is suffering from cutaneous mycosis. It is reported by World Health Organization. It's a big population. Around 20% population, sometime, some part of the life, or still they may have fungal infection. Generally, it affects the people of all age group, of either sex, all animal species, of both the sex. Infection rate is high with the people resides in the confined area for a long time. Obviously, where there is the thickly populated area, damp and humid, and the sunshine is less, ventilator is poor, that is the area where infection rate will be quite high. Hot and humid weather helps the dermatophytes to grow very, very fast. Fungus like the humid environment and hot environment. When you will put them in the dry and cold environment, they will not grow. They sometimes may not survive even. Generally, the farmers and pet lovers, obviously, we people being the vet, we are at the high risk of infection because we need to handle both animals and also being a human, our society and civil contact also there. So our pet lovers, farmers, as well as the veterinarians, they remain at the high risk. How to transmit the disease from one to another? It is generally from skin, scar, and burns. If something is there, they attract the fungal infection. Arthrospore, I believe you can remember, or conidia also you can remember. They are the actually infectious agent because those are available in the environment. So wherever there is skin injury, wherever there is scar formation, burn injury, then the arthrospore or conidia may attack the area. And they spread very directly or indirectly via environmental contamination or fomites. If suppose in any one household, one individual gets the fungal infection, and if we are using a common towel, common utensils, believe me, the other one people will be infected very soon. So this is the simple way they get spread among the population. Shedding of the dermatophyte spore contaminate the farm, which can last in a farm, animal farm. If one animal gets infection and those spores are mixing into the moist, the environment, including the soil, it is very tough to remove them. So they can sustain for years. Rodents also help in spread the infection by infected hair. Zoophilic species transmit from animal to human. Then occupational disease, as I told, it is the occupational disease of veterinarians, farmers, and their family members, abattoir handlers, tannery workers, pet owners, and especially the children who handle the infection of the dog and cat. Human to human transmission also there, like by direct contact, contaminated hair brushes, combs, hats, then mother to newborn child. Means, what is the summary of that? Means we can summarize that fungal infection can be transmitted by most of the known routes, whatever we can understand. They can transmit from one to another. Let us understand a little bit the pathogenesis, how the disease develops. Now look at the infection site. It is known as ringworm. Why the name ringworm came? Because of this circular ring-shaped infected area. Generally what happens, dermatophytes do not survive in the living cells. That is interesting. Means when the cells are alive, they don't survive. It needs dead cell. Why so? Because they need to utilize the keratin of the cell. So they like the dead cells, keratinized tissue. They do not invade the skin epithelial cells. It does not have the capacity. What happens? The spore, after transmission through skin trauma, they germinate in the non-living keratinized layer. In our body cells, at the extreme external surface, it is generally a layer of dead cells available. Because our skin cells, it replaces very frequently. And we don't understand it, that the cells are dying and it is shedding out and new cells are generating. Our external body surface, either in the human and animal, our external cells, it dies very frequently and they make a small layer over it. So that is the dead cell area. Those keratins can be utilized by the fungus. So that means the skin is the stratum corneum first being attacked. Then fungal metabolites induce the inflammatory activity. Obviously, when they multiply, so they will release some metabolites, and those metabolites, being a foreign body, our skin surface starts to show the inflammatory reaction. So and then it causes the pathogen to move away. When there is starting of the inflammation, suppose infection started here. So when the infection started here means the fungal metabolites is inserted into the skin. Skin started to show the symptom of the inflammation. When there is inflammation, then fungus immediately needs to move away from the original place. Because of that, the fungal infection, it spreads like a ring. It starts with a single point, then they gradually spread in all directions. So it appears like a ring. And because it appears like a ring-like shape, this is also known as ringworm. So here it is, look at that, the dermatophytes. generally spores from animals or human. Then dermatophytes, there is skin abrasion. It may be affect the skin, hair or nail, enter the stratum corneum. They release and the keratinase enzyme. They develop the inflammatory reaction like redness, swelling, heat, alopecia. Once inflammation starts, the fungus movement away from the site of infection, and ultimately the central healing with classical ring lesion. Means in the middle portion, there will be healed area, but surrounding area will be inflamed. You can see the multiple rings are forming. You can see the multiple rings are forming. So this is typical ringworm infection. Let us look at that. What are the different type of infection or diseases appears in case of animals? In animals, first let us talk about the dog. Dog, you will be definitely encountering this kind of fungal infection. Patient will come to you to look that is alopecia, means the hair loss. So it is very most common and it appears mostly in puppies. How you can find small circles of alopecia, means hair loss, pale skin with the scales in the center. Obviously, when you look at the center, there will be very pale color of skin cells, develop a crust at the later stage. Means sometimes just like our dandruff, we say, so those are the dandruffs are what? These are dead crust when it comes out. The dendrite-like appearance also may be there into the area. The pathogen is the Microsporum canis, major pathogen. Microsporum canis is the commonest pathogen for the dermatophyte infection or ringworm infection in case of dog. But sometimes Microsporum gypsum and Trichophyton mentagrophytes, when it happens, this is also known as wet eczema, are the most common organism result in the carrion. Generally, most common one I told, Microsporum canis. In addition, Microsporum gypsum and Trichophyton mentagrophytes may also cause the disease. Dog is the most common source of transmission of the organism to human being because we love pet. We used to be very close to the dogs. So that's why dog is most common spreader of the disease to human. In case of the cat, similar type, just like the dog. In case of the cat, we can see the similarly just like a dog, highly variable clinical symptoms, irregular, patchy, multifocal alopecia. Here you can look at the alopecic area, the hair loss area. Most common presentation appears in kittens, young one, most often seen on the head of for 4 legs. Generally, we found in the head of 4 legs. In adult cats, there is small dermatophyte that is known as the papulocrustius or miliary dermatitis or folliculitis with focal or multifocal areas of the alopecia. Microsporum canis, once again the major pathogen, but Microsporum gallini, Microsporum gypsum, and Trichophyton mentagrophytes are also isolated from cat. Another case for human being, once again, we are highly vulnerable because cat is also common pet for most of us. Look at the horse. In case of the horse, mostly found in the areas of contact with saddles or other track, like thorax, head, and shoulder. So this is the very common place, the thorax. And what we can see, it generally starts with a small patch of raised hair. Some of the body, you can find a very small area, the hair are straight. Then progress to hair loss with variable amounts of scaling, erythema, crusting, and exudation. Now look at these areas. So gradually, from the far distance, if you look at the horse, you will be thinking that something has taken away the hair from the skin. It is a moth-eaten appearance. Generally, it is resemble with the papular urticaria. That is another type of infection. Papular urticaria means from the far long distance you can look at the skin that there is skin loss and the hair loss. But interestingly, this will be mostly circular type of lesion. This is very typical for the ringworm infection. Pathogens are mostly Microsporum canis and Microsporum gypsum. They are being isolated, but the most Common one is the Trichophyton equinum and Microsporum equinum. Look at the equinum is associated with the horse. Trichophyton equinum, Microsporum equinum are the primary pathogen, but sometimes Microsporum canis and Microsporum gypsum are also being isolated. But infection from horse to human is not very common. The reason is quite obvious, because generally we don't come in a very close contact with the horse very frequently. Okay, next will be the cattle, our major large bovines. The cattle, here the lesion you can see throughout the body, different parts of the body. Here there is skin lesion. Typical lesion is generally very heavy, grayish white crust, which is raised perceptibly above the skin. It's quite thick and raised crust. Sometimes people may confuse initially with the pox, but it is very dry and crusting type, affecting young calves more than adult cattle with non-pruritic periocular lesion. Means to look at the periocular lesion surrounding the eyes. This kind of infection generally appears in the young cattle, but the adult cattle, other part of the body mostly appear. There is a discrete, scaly and alopecic with grayish white crust, which tend to appear on the face and neck. Look at this face and neck area, they are mostly affected. Trichophyton verrucosum var discoides. Remember this name. The pathogen is Trichophyton verrucosum var discoides. It is the primary pathogen. Otherwise, Trichophyton rubrum, Microsporum canis, then Microsporum gallini, Microsporum gypsum, sometimes they also be there. So in one case, if you think about the human infection from cattle, yes, those who handle the cattle, particularly the milkman, particularly those people, the farmers, they are at high risk. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Because sometimes, all right. Can you see the slides also?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. I'm going a little bit fast because is the going a little bit fast because you know most of the information are very very common and repeat. I am only changing the species, the host, just to show certain pictures so that you can get some idea. But otherwise, most of the sentences are repeat and monotonous type. Then in case of sheep goat, so there is nothing special. Just like the cattle, just like the dog, cat, you will be getting similar kind of infection. So this is the in case of the sheep goat, the infection it is known as club lamb fungus. Mostly the young kids or young lambs, there is some infection. The pathogen is Trichophyton verrucosum once again, the commonest one, and sometimes Microsporum canis. And same thing, that transmission of the human being from cattle, I mean the sheep goat, it is not very, very common, very rare. Very rare, I do not know why, so far it is not being reported that from sheep goat, infection is spread to the human being. But we should not say that we are not in contact with them. It is there. Swine, in the pig. So pig is also shows infection. Sometimes in case of the pig, you may be a little bit confused over it, that what is actually the reason. Because such kind of ring-like lesion, it also happens with swine erysipelas, a bacterial disease. So swine erysipelas and this urticarial lesion caused by the dermatophyte, mostly Microsporum nanum. So this is little bit similar, but the infection caused by bacteria erysipelothrips, the swine erysipelas, the inflammation zone remain little bit moist and highly inflamed. But if it is the fungal infection, you need to look that central region should be without any inflammation and the surrounding zone should be inflamed. But in case of erysipelothrips or the swine erysipelas, you will be finding the whole area will be inflamed. So by that way, you can differentiate a little bit by simple observation. So pathogen is Microsporum nanum, which is primary pathogen. Otherwise, Microsporum gypsum and Microsporum canis may also infect the pig skin. Birds means mostly, in case of the bird, it is known as foul phoebus or white comb disease. In case of the bird, the disease is known as foul phoebus or white comb disease. Birds, the infection mostly will be visible, obviously, the wattle and combs. But, my dear, believe it, if it is not visible, infection is already inside the feather also. It is also there inside the feather. So they are all age group, they maintain under this. White patches are noticed on the comb of the male birds, and lesion may coalesce, and the whole comb is covered like this. Whole comb is covered. Infection may progress into the feather, GI tract, and respiratory tract. In case of the birds, it happens. The feather gets infected, even it enters into the GI tract as well as respiratory tract, and it forms a necrotic foci with yellowish mass in trachea. And once it is happened, then birds used to lose its weight. The emaciation starts. Pathogen is Microsporum gallini. Microsporum gallini is the pathogen, but sometimes Trichophyton simiei also being there in case of featherless parts of the body. Trichophyton simiei, it happens, or it causes the dermatophytosis in featherless part of the body. Now, we have covered the animal disease. As I told, in human also, it appears. In human, it is known as tinea. Human, my dear, that you can find is quite interesting, although it is not our part of the course. Just for your own information, for information to all of you, I have just prepared few slides that how it infects the human also. This you do not need to read because you will never ask in your question or examination. In human, variety of infection appears by the dermatophytes. One of them, it is known as tinea pedis or athlete's foot infection. Why it is athlete's foot infection? It is not true that only athletes will be getting infection. It may be happens with all. So look at the severity of the infection. Look at the severity of the infection. Here, particularly our village area, probably our elders, our mothers, those who generally work into the barefooted and mostly their foot remain wet most of the time, such infection, it is quite common. I have seen my mom, this is used to suffering from like that because they never use any type of shoe or chappal or sandals, nothing. They used to walk barefooted and it was the muddy area. So that most of the time they do clean their legs quite frequently, unnecessarily or necessarily. So it remains moist. And fungal infection is simple because the skin becomes soft and the fungal spores available into the soil, it can get in. So with that way, there are multiple infection possible. This is known as tinea pedis, means infection of the foot or feet of human. Next is the tinea corporis or tinea circinata. Here that infection is throughout the body. Particularly it happens in young. I believe during adolescence, most of the boys and girls, they are having tendency to get such kind of infection. It happens because during the adolescence, our hormonal balance used to change. And during that time, such kind of infection appears. It is known as tinea corporis. Then it is the tinea cruris or jock itch. It is the inguinal part of the body. Particularly those areas like India, where our environment is hot and humid. I'm not talking about the northeastern region, we are having better environment, but most of the part where the hot and humid environment and those who use the underwear for quite long time. So during that time, it causes certain irritation, inflammation, and that causes serious infection of the fungus. This is known as tinea cruris or jock itch. Now, I'm not sure whether the undergarment jockey name comes from here. All right, that you can decide on. So this is the jock itch. It happens in case of a human being. Next is the tinea anguium. Anguium means infection of the nails. So my dear, those who are keeping the long size nails, please take care. It is known as onychomycosis. So look at the infection of the nails. Here, once it get in, then sometimes the doctor said you cannot treat it. Only option is the surgical removal. Yet the infection goes so deep that no medicine can treat this. So when the infection gets deep inside the nail, means bed of the nail, so now it will remove the entire nail. It will digest the entire nail. Extremely painful, extremely difficult, and surgical removal sometimes requires. So this is tinea unguium or onychomycosis. Tinea capitis, here the infection head region, particularly those hairy region, it is a capitis, such kind of gray patch ringworm. Look at that gray patch ringworm. It is some people they used to face the inflamed area. Some people they do face a very dry gray type of powdery area. So this kind of known as tinea capitis. Next is the tinea imbricata or tokelu. Now tokelu is very unique. Generally what happens, tinea, I mean the fungal ringworm, it appears in a single ring, one ring. But tinea imbricata, you can see the multiple rings, one here inside once again, means the repeat infection is possible. So this is known as tinea imbricata or tokelu. It happens in human. Tinea manum, infection of the palm or hands. Look at the difference between two palms. This is infected, this is uninfected. Means here, what happens, this is also known as 2 feet 1 hand syndrome. It is observed that in case of the human, most of the human being having both the feet infected, one hand infected, but not absolute, but it is there. It is known as 2 feet 1 hand syndrome. The hand's palm become highly dry, rough, and that scaly type. It may shed out the skins. That is known as tinea manum. Next is the tinea gladiatorium. So gladiators means those are the fighters. Now this boy tried to show that actually it is not like this. So gladiatorium, probably this infection first discovered among the gladiators, because the gladiators in the Roman area, they used to fight each other, and probably they do transmit the disease between them. So this is the similar infection. Generally it appears in the arm area. This is the gladiatorium. Tinea barbi, the barber's itch, means people who keep the beards like me, but there are sometimes chances that you can get the infection into the hairy part of the mouth, the face. In that hairy part, when it appears, this is known as tinea barbi or barber's itch. Earlier, generally, the male, they used to visit the barber shop to shave the hair, to shave the beard. Nowadays, probably very rarely people go for shaving to the barber shop. But earlier, there was no option. So during that time, because of the using the common type of razor blade, the infection used to transmit from one to another. Although we do visit the barber shop to shave our hair, but not for the at least beard. So this is the barber's itch. Then tinea incognito. Tinea incognito, it is generally happens in case of the patient with the immunocompromised patient. It causes a highly inflamed zone, particularly into the area of the shoulder and neck, and sometimes it is very much painful. Caused by tinea rubrum, it is known as tinea incognito. Next is the Majochi's granuloma. Majochi's granuloma is very, very unique among all the dermatophyte infection. Majochi's granuloma, what does it do? It causes blistering type of inflammation on the skin, which is very, very uncommon in any other kind of dermatophyte infection. Majochi's granuloma, here it causes just like the burning sensation. If there is second degree burn, third degree burn on the skin, you can imagine that burned area like this infection. This is known as Majochi's granuloma. I am not giving the details about the pathogenesis of this infection, but it happens. Then I believe it is the last for the human infection. It is the tinea profunda capillati. This type of infection, look at the appearance. It is not a dry area. It is not just the hair lost, but it is looking like a highly inflamed zone. Highly inflamed zone. It is the carry-on Selsi type tinea capitis. It happens only in the head region. Very painful and difficult to treat. Okay, so far we have tried to find out the different kind of skin infection caused by the dermatophytes. So dermatophytes means three genera: Trichophyton, Microsporum, and Epidermophyton. They infect keratinized area, particularly the skin, nail, hair, horn, hoof. All right, those means those part which is carrying the keratin. Now, when the infection appears in the hair, I'm talking about not the skin, not the nail. When it appears in the hair infection by the dermatophytes, it appears in two different types. One is known as ectothrix infection, another is known as endothrix infection. Probably in this picture I can show you. Look at these pictures. Here, this picture. This is the hair saddle actually. The hair saddle means the keratin layer inside. Can you look the granules outside? So this is the fungal infection. Means the infection, it appeared the external surface of the hair. This is the ectothrix. Means the fragmentation of mycelium or the conidioidation, it is around the hair shaft. It does not invade the hair. That is the ectothrix. This picture is opposite. This picture is opposite. Here, the spores are visible inside the hair shaft. Means they invaded inside the hair. Such kind of infection is the endothrix infection. So when it infects the hair, now many of us, if you run your two fingers through one hair shaft continuously, sometimes you may find some of the notches are there. From some part of the hair, you may find it is breaking the hair. So if you carefully feel it, you will find there is some breakage into the hair shaft. Means your external keratin layer is being damaged. Now, we do not know whether it is because of the fungal infection, maybe some of the mechanical damage, but that appears due to the fungal infection mostly. So fungal infection in the hair, either it can appear outside the hair shaft, so they are ectothrix infection, or it may be inside the hair shaft, they are endothrix infection. All right. Now, this is very important part, how to diagnose the dermatophytosis or dermatophyte infection. There are multiple steps for dermatophyte infection. First of all, one of the very simple job, the clinical sign. Because you know, clinical sign for the dermatophyte infection is very, very simple to observe. Obviously, even from the far distance, you can look at the site of infection and you will feel that it is probably ringworm infection, because the long circular ring and the inner part is healed and external ring is inflamed. If it happens and the disease is chronic, means it is happening for a quite long time, then you can come forward with a conclusion, yes, possibly it is the dermatophytes. But being the microbiologist, we need to confirm in the laboratory. So once it is there, what you can do, you can collect certain samples. Samples means either infected hair or infected skin, but definitely if the animal is alive, you cannot get that piece of the skin. What you should do, first you clean the infected area by using 70% alcohol, then take one scalpel blade and very gently try to scrape the inflamed area, okay, inflamed area till it bleeds. Little bit bleeding will start, and those thin scrap you can collect in a tube in a dry condition. It should not be mixed into the moist condition, or it should be mixed in a medium or any saline, nothing. Dry condition, then bring it to the laboratory. After reaching to the laboratory, we need to start. The first examination, it is known as Wood's lamp test. Wood's lamp is what? Wood's lamp is basically one ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light what happens, some of the dermatophytes, when it exposes to the UV light, they generally show the fluorescence. But my dear, it is not the perfect technique. Certain fungus, they show such kind of fluorescence. Means, if you place the UV light over the skin or over the hair, and if you find there is fluorescence, you are assured that it is dermatophyte infection. But if you fail to detect, it does not mean it is negative. Means the probability of diagnosis of the dermatophyte infection by Wood's lamp, it around 50%. It is just like today's date COVID test. COVID test, there are two techniques we apply. One is known as rapid antigen test, another is known as real-time PCR test. Real-time PCR, we believe it gives far better result than rapid antigen. Rapid antigen test, what happens, if you are testing the most of the people, maybe 40 to 50% diagnosis will be accurate. Means if you are getting positive, it is positive, perfect. But if you are getting negative, it is doubtful. Means whether it is really negative or not assured. Same here is the Wood's lamp test. If you are getting positive, no problem. But if you are getting negative, you should proceed further. Next job is the direct microscopic examination. As I told, we need to collect the skin scraping and hair, including the hair bulb. Then what should we do? We need to add 10% potassium hydroxide solution. Think about, you are holding one test tube and put the skin scrap as well as the hair inside the test tube. Then you add 10% potassium hydroxide solution. Then apply heat. Means the test tube we can place over one Bunsen burner. Means you are digesting that. Why we do so? Because the fungus hypha, it will be available inside the tissues. We have collected skin scrap. Scrap means these are the different cells or tissues we have collected. Inside the tissue, if the hyphae is there, you cannot see under microscope. So before observation, we need to do addition of potassium hydroxide solution, then digest the tissue by boiling it. If we boil in presence of 10% sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, all the tissues will be digested. There are some alternative technique also, like 20% potassium hydroxide and 36% dimethyl sulfoxide, DMSO, which can speed up the diagnosis, and specimen can be stored for longer time. Then what should we do? After digestion, we need to stain the fungi and observe under the microscope. How we can stain them? We can stain by chlorazole black or Parker's ink. But in most of commonly lactophenol cotton blue. But the chlorazole helps in identification of the hyphae by staining the contaminants such as cotton or elastic fibers. Another of the method, which is the fine needle aspirates, that can be stained with the May, Grunwald, Giemsa method. There are many methods of staining for observation under microscope. So under microscope, how do the fungus will be looking like? Under microscope, suppose here is certain one hyphae, these are the certain spores, here are the certain spores are visible. Under microscope, it may be looking like that. Then ectothrics, endothrics already I have mentioned. These are the classification, which fungi are ectothrics, which fungi are endothrix type. Next is the culture. Microbiology lab, our objective is to grow them into the medium. So fungal culture is always a gold standard for diagnosis. What should we do? We need to get the sample. We will inoculate over the medium. And for medium, for this purpose, this is known as dermatophyte test medium. Dermatophyte test medium. In our practical class, we will explain it once again. Another medium is known as SDA, Savarot's dextrose agar with chloramphenicol, cyclohexamide, and gentamicin. Another media is known as PDA, potato dextrose agar. My dear, don't worry, we'll give all the details in our practical classes. Okay, so these are the medium where fungus should be grown. Incubation temperature is 25 to 30 degree, but for Trichophyton verrucosum, it needs 37 degree. The incubation period is generally quite long, at least 2 weeks minimum, and you may need to observe for 3 to 6 weeks. Until or unless there is no growth, you need to observe up to 6 weeks. If there is no growth, you will say negative. When we see under their growth, look at the various different type of growth pattern of the dermatophytes. It may be like this, like this. So variety of the growth pattern are possible in a artificial medium. Then the biochemical test also, we can perform certain biochemical tests like urease, but here biochemical tests are not very much useful for fungi, but it is useful for the bacteria. Although we can do, but it is not very much useful. Then biopsy examination, it is quite common in pathology lab. Skin biopsy, once we collect it, then you see under microscope whether you can detect the presence of the fungal spore, fungal hypha, or something else. So that means by biopsy examination also you can diagnose. Histopathological examination also people try when they get the tissue sections from that, and they stain and they try to find out the presence of the hyphae. Lastly, the serological test, but it is not very much reliable because most of the fungi, they do not develop good level of immunity. Means it generally do not develop the very good level of the antibody titers in the body. So that's why serological test, sometimes it is possible, but most of the cases, it is not very common and reliable test. The molecular technique, because in today's day, serological test, laboratory technique, isolation, identification, but molecular techniques are always the ultimate so far. So there are many techniques, polymerase chain reaction of using different type of target genes, characterize the isolates like from human, how it is, from animal, how it is. So there are different techniques. I am not giving very good emphasis on it, only just to understand that there are DNA-based techniques by which also we can detect it and diagnose it. All right. So let me conclude the dermatophytosis. What is there? So dermatophytes, they are contagious among animals and are very important zoonotic agent, highly zoonotic agent, where they have the high zoonotic potential. So all of us, please take care when you will be a practitioner veterinarian. During that time, we will be in contact with the many animals and they may having this infection. Why we are very much, we should be careful, because I have already told only one disease, that is the dermatophytes, which is visible on the surface of the skin. Next day onwards, we will read about the systemic infection. At that time, you will find how difficult situation may arise due to fungal infection. All right. With that, I believe it is the end. Now, if you have a question, you can come forward.
Sir, epidermophyton, it causes disease only in human or animals?
Please repeat it.
Sir, epidermophyton.
Epidermophyton. Epidermophyton infection is for human only. Epidermophyton causes infection for only human being. Any more?
Sir,
Last day, yes, please carry
sir,
on.
from exam point of view, do we have to study the human diseases in
Not
detail?
at all. Absolutely not. The human disease today I have explained just to show you what are the different infections, because it looks quite interesting. That's why I placed it here. You do not need to read it. I have given you the handouts. There the animal disease is described. Next, anything? Last day, someone raised a question through WhatsApp about the difference between the arthrospore and chlamydospore. I believe someone of you have raised that question. The Arthrospore means it is the fraction of the hypha. Okay. Suppose on hypha, if it is fragmented, each of the fragment will be considered as one arthrospore. Simple thing. You can think about, you have a long strip of paper. Each of the pieces will be considered as one arthrospore. That's all. Now, chlamydospore is little bit different. Chlamydospore means before being fragmented, the hypha, it develops a thick wall surrounding it, just to increase the level of protection. All right. Then once the thick wall develops surrounding the hypha cells, then each of the cell will be fragmented. Means the chlamydospores are looking like arthrospore, but with one additional thick layer outside it. That is chlamydospore. I forgot the name who raised the question. Anyway, could I explain to her or him? All right. Any more query? Anyone? If not, then we can stop here.
Sir,
Thank you, everyone.
excuse me, sir.
Yes, please. Bengia.
Sir, about swine, you said 2 lessons. Now, how to differentiate that?
What happens for swine? How to differentiate between?
You mentioned 2 lessons. I didn't hear that part.
Okay. I told that in case of the swine, we already taught one disease. It is known as swine erysipelas. It causes by the erysipelothritis rhusiopathy, one bacteria. Swine erysipelas, it is also known as diamond skin disease. Someone might be trying to remember back. Diamond skin disease means the skin surface, it shows a diamond shaped. I do not know how to be, it might be the different. It is resembled. It may not be absolutely like a diamond. It is the patches of the inflamed zone, circular patches of the inflamed zone throughout the surface of the body. Our dermatophyte infection is also similar. Means there will be inflamed zone over the surface of the skin. So definitely you'll be confused. Is it the ringworm or it is swine erysipelothritis or erysipelas? As I told, ringworm means look at the site of infection. The middle area should be healthy or healed area, and surrounding will be the ring of inflammation. Okay. So when the surrounding area, it is ring of inflammation, means, and if the middle part, if it is the healed uninflamed zone, that is the fungal infection. But if entire area is showing the inflammation, then it is the erysipelas. Is it okay, Bengia? Welcome.
Yes, sir.
Welcome. Any more? All right. I believe now no more questions are coming. We have another class, might be at 2. So let us stop. Thank you, everyone.